everyone, welcome to Jackalopes of Fire. I'm your hostess, Cilla, and obviously I am by myself today. Um, I know we haven't had an episode in a while, and I'm really sorry. Honestly, it's because Chuck has a new schedule, which makes him work on Saturdays, which is when we used to record these things, and so getting us together has been a logistics nightmare. Um, just not working. But it's a temporary thing. Chuck will have Saturdays off in the semi-near future. In the meantime, we'll try to somehow get an episode together. Um, and I'll be doing some solo casts as time permits and as the content's there. Today's actually a very special episode. Um, it is Wednesday, which is not normally a day that I would sit down and do one of these, but it's a very special Wednesday. Um, it's New Comic Wednesday, and I'm actually excited. That's a first. I haven't been excited about New Comic Wednesday in at least 2 years, since New 52 started. Why am I excited about today? I will tell you why. It's official. Stephanie Brown is back. And um, so far, so good. We'll get into that. I actually have a lot to say, and not all of it is negative, surprisingly. Um, don't worry, I'm not going soft. I have plenty of negative to say about DC. It's coming. Um, there's so much news that we need to cover, and so I'm going to jump right to it. First of all, I bought some comics today. I actually bought 4 comic books today, um, which I haven't done in a while. I haven't just gone to a comic shop and picked up a stack of comics in a while. It felt good. It felt even better to sit down and read comics. I forgot how the feeling of reading a new comic. I'm definitely can tell you I prefer having a physical comic in my hand to having it be digital. So I'm gonna stick with going to the local comic shop. Um, I bought Batman Eternal issue 1, Batman Eternal issue 2, and the newest one, Batman Eternal issue 3. This is Batman Eternal is a weekly series, so there's one a week. As promised, when today issue 3 is out, I went to the comic shop, I opened a book, I saw Stephanie inside, I bought all 3. That is what I said from the get-go that I would do. I was going to wait till week 3, make sure Stephanie really did come back and it wasn't another tease. And if she was there, I'd buy all of the issues. So I did. Um, I have to say, I don't want to give any spoilers away because it is a weekly book, so it's not like 2 months have passed since issue 1. I don't know how fast you guys at home might be reading it. I'm going to try to avoid too many spoilers. Because let me tell you, this book is full of twists and turns. And I really like it so far. I didn't expect to say those words, but I like it. Um, I am worried about the direction, not because of anything in these 3 issues, um, but simply because there was an issue of Batman a couple months ago. It kind of was a glimpse into this book's future. If this is going to lead to that, I'm a little concerned, but I'm withholding judgment because so far, Batman Eternal actually very good. Um, it had some. The first 2 issues had amazing cliffhangers. Um, issue 3, Stephanie's first appearance. Let's see, what was our. Yes, another good cliffhanger. I will say this Stephanie's origin is fairly similar to her pre-50 New 52 origin, um, where seeing there's a few tweaks to her origin, very few. Um, so so far so good on Stephanie. Um, the little bit of Stephanie that we've seen in this one issue, she looks like she's our spunky Steph. She doesn't seem to be new 52-ified from the get-go, so we'll see what happens with her. Um, but yeah, if you've been wavering on picking up this title, or you were worried about what they were going to do with Steph right out of the gate, um, I'd recommend picking it up. Um, I've This almost pains me to say, I've actually really enjoyed these 3 issues. So yeah, Stephanie is back. It's taken a while, but it's good. We know that she is going to be spoiler. Um, she doesn't become spoiler right away. Probably be a couple of more issues before we see her be spoiler. In issue 3, she's just plain old Stephanie Brown. She hasn't become spoiler yet. And um, you kind of, through issue 3, it's an origin story for Stephanie. It sets the backdrop to what will eventually lead her to become spoiler. And if you know anything about pre-New 52 Stephanie, you see the direction it's headed. It's not like it's going to be a surprise when she becomes spoiler. They're setting that groundwork already. Um, so yeah, I, I will do another episode here in a couple of weeks, and get into some spoilers, more details about some of the cliffhangers and more in depth. Um, I don't want to give too much away yet. Even the look of Stephanie, I mean, she looks like Stephanie. I didn't have to read on to see her name get said or anything. I looked at the panel, blonde girl, jeans, and a purple hoodie. I'm like, oh, there's Steph. So it's very obvious that it's Stephanie, and so far it's our Steph. So yeah, excited. Also picked up this. I was reluctant because of that. If you can see, I don't know, it's Red Lantern Supergirl. Still not thrilled about that. I've done my rants about that. Uh, I picked this up not because of her, but because of a couple of reasons. One, Ranker, John Moore. He's a Red Lantern, Green Lantern, a human Red Lantern that I wanted to know a little bit more about. He seems to be interesting, so wanted to read about him a little bit. Um, the Red Lantern Corps, in and of itself, I've been doing some research on lately, and it's proven to be kind of an interesting because they're not really villains. They're kind of villains, but they're kind of heroes. They're not really anti-heroes. I don't know what the Red Lantern Corps is, quite honestly. Um, but I've just been interested in knowing more about them. So I picked up this issue, and I will say a couple of things. One, I'm still extremely pissed off that Guy Gardner is a Red Lantern. Um, don't like it at all. I am pissed off that Kara is a Red Lantern. I don't like that at all. I'll be honest with you. When I was reading about this, when I was reading Kara in this book, um, I felt like I was reading Ultra Girl. You know, her Earth 3 counterpart. Yeah, I felt like I was reading a Kara from that world, uh, which doesn't sit well with me at all. Uh, this is a three-part book. The story continues in next month's Supergirl, and I don't know where part three will be. Since it is a three-part arc, I probably will read all three parts before I make a solid decision on if I'm going to continue reading Red Lantern. Um, but I'm definitely not sold on this book yet. I'm going to give it a shot, and we'll see. Um, I have very mixed feelings about this, um, mostly because of Guy and Kara. So we'll see. And while we're on the topic of comic books, here's another series that I've been reading. Is anybody surprised? Anybody? Um, really enjoying this. It's Loki, very well written. It's humorous. It's everything that I've come to expect from Loki. And from my experience reading about him in his previous titles, um, and from watching Hiddleston play him in the cinematic universe. Um, I think this does a very good job of taking the comic book Loki that we've seen before, mixing him with what we have seen from Tom's portrayal, and making it a very fun read. So, if you're looking for something that's interesting and fun, definitely recommend picking this up. This is better than anything DC has done in at least 2 years. Um, since New 52 came out. It's better than anything since New 52. So, um, Marvel is definitely picking up my loyalty. Um, and if they keep doing stuff like this, I'll continue to be a loyal Marvel fan. Um, Still a DC girl because of the characters, but Marvel's winning me over. They got some good stuff going on right now. Um, so those are my comic book reviews. Um, Now, on to other news. And the rest of this is going to be a giant DC bash. I, I've said all the good I have to say about DC because they have royally pissed me off. Um, Before I go there, I do want to take a moment and thank DC and Dan Didio for bringing back Stephanie. Thank you. That being said, I'm still pissed at you for fucking up Kara. And now I'm extremely, monumentally, beyond pissed at what you've done with my dear sweet Dick Grayson. Fuck you all. Didio, I know you hate Grayson. Everybody knows you hate Grayson. So what? Your plan is to just totally ruin the character until you can really get away with killing him off? Because that seems like what you're trying to pull here. For those of you that don't know, um, at the end of the Forever Evil storyline, big arc that DC just did, a couple of things happened to Dick. He, one, was exposed as Nightwing, and two, is presumed dead. There was a big uproar because people thought he was going to really get killed off. Once again, Didio was smart enough to realize you can't really kill off Dick Grayson, so he did the next best thing. He exposed him as Nightwing, made everybody in the DC universe except Bruce think he's dead, and now he's going to go basically undercover and be a secret spy. That being said, the title Nightwing, of course, has been canceled to be replaced by a new title called simply Grayson. And it's all about Dick Grayson being Dick Grayson the spy, uh, secret agent, whatever. Um, the first issue, the cover's been released. It's a picture of Dick shooting a fire. It looks like he's in a firefight or something. Yes, you heard right. Not an Excremus stick, not a bow, not a batarang or a wingding or anything else that Bruce has taught him to use over the years because they don't use guns in the Bat family. No, no, no. Dick Grayson will be using a gun. Now, if you know anything about me, you know I am not anti-gun. I like guns. I want my concealed handgun license. I will be carrying a concealed weapon as soon as I am legally permitted to do so. Every place I am legally permitted to do so. That's not my issue here. My issue is that he's a member of the Bat family. Bruce is very anti-gun and has made his sons, with the exception of Jason, follow the same thing. Dick should not be wielding a gun. Um, Dick should not have been exposed as Nightwing. Dick should not be presumed dead. Nightwing should still be around in his blue suit. Um, Words can just not adequately express how pissed off I am. They already killed off Damien. They are ruining Dick. What's next? And I've heard that they've done some things to ruin Jason Todd too. I can't speak to that because I really don't know too much about New 52 Jason. Um, but I'm starting to think Didio has it out for the Robins. Yes, 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 I know. Grant Morrison planned all along to kill Damien. To me, that's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. You had this character that happened to turn into a popular character, and so because it was your plan all along to kill him off, you go ahead with it instead of going and altering your plans a little bit because you realize that may not be the best course of action anymore. Anyway, that's not what we're getting on here. No, they're ruining Dick Grayson is what they're doing, and it's pissing me the hell off. Um, Now that I'm buying DC Comics again, I was actually looking to maybe start buying Nightwing. Obviously, I'm not going to. And as far as if I'll be buying Grayson, it's hard to say. I honestly don't know. I love Dick, but much like Kara, I don't think I love New 52 Dick. Because I certainly don't love New 52 Kara. DC just seemed to like ruining my favorite characters. Another reason that I find myself concerned about the direction of Batman Eternal. We've seen stuff in one issue and so far so good, but if New 52 history is any indication, I'm rightfully a little nervous. Um, so, fuck you, DC, and fuck you, Didio, because I know you've been looking for ways to ruin Grayson for years. Well, congratulations. You finally are managing to do it. Hope you're satisfied. Moving on. I keep hearing people telling me that DC is jumping forward in time. That's not entirely true. Um, it is, but it's not. There is an event in September, I believe, that is basically every issue of DC Comics is going to jump forward 5 years, but only for one issue. So basically, I have a couple of issues with this concept in general. One, when you do that, generally it's a possible future, which ends up convoluting everything that you do later on down the line. But beyond that, when New 52 was launched, it was supposed to be going back 5 years. So we're essentially going to where we were with these characters, and I think that it has the potential to be very, 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 very confusing. And DC is convoluted and confusing enough without adding this to the mix. And so I see a potential disaster. Um, I'll say this. In the issue where we see a 5-year jump, we better see Stephanie in a Batgirl suit. All I'm saying. Am I expecting it? No. But a girl can dream. Um, but I do think that um, this has the potential to be very convoluted and very confusing, and I just don't see it ending well. But like most of the stunts DC has pulled lately, they will somehow spin it to be successful. They always do. Um, Moving on, there was a quote that's been circulating the internet from Zack Snyder. I'm sorry, Zack Snyder. Um, Basically, he's the one that's behind Man of Steel and the upcoming as to be yet titled Superman Batman film. And he says the following quote: "The thing I was surprised about in response to Superman was how everyone clings to the Christopher Reeve version of Superman, you know? How tightly they cling to those ideas. Not really the comic book version, but more the movie version." End quote. Um, there is more to the quote. Um, Continuing the quote, if you really analyze the comic book version of Superman, he's killed, he's done all the things. I guess the rules that people associate with Superman in the movie world are not the rules that really apply to him in the comic book world, because those rules are different. He's done all the things and more that we've shown him doing, right? It's just funny to see people really taking it personally because I made him real, you know, I made him feel or made consequences in the world. Um, End quote. To me, uh, now on Twitter, the there was some people talking about how that quote scares them for the upcoming movie. I agree. I think this quote shows he doesn't really get Superman because he didn't make him real. He made him Batman with powers. That is not the same thing. Um, And me personally, I don't cling to the Christopher Reeve idea of Superman. In fact, I'm probably one of the minority that doesn't like that version of Superman. Um, I think it was great for the time. I think Christopher Reeve did a great job. From what I've seen, I honestly haven't seen the movies beyond a few clips here and there. But I think it was great for the time. I think that version, that pre-crisis version of Superman, fit the time period that he was in. I think that that is an outdated version, which is why um, Superman Returns didn't do very well, because it is outdated. The version of Superman that I personally enjoy, and I've said this before, is the Dean Cain version. To me, that's Superman. That's our post-crisis Superman. And no, Superman doesn't kill. Superheroes don't kill. There's a code. And there is a very fine line that you don't cross. We saw it as recently as Final Crisis when Wonder Woman killed and all of the havoc that came afterwards. Um, so I think he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get Superman. He doesn't get the Superman people want to see. Um, and when he talks about the Superman being those things, I really feel like he's talking about New 52 Superman, which is a version of Superman not very many people like. It has nothing to do with Christopher Reeve. People don't like New 52 Superman. And I don't think they want pre-crisis Superman either. The Superman we want is the post-crisis one. He isn't he's Clark. He's the Clark we saw in Smallville. He's the Clark we saw on the New Adventures of Lois and Clark, or the New Adventures of Superman. I'm sorry. Um, that's the Superman that we want to see. It's a Superman that is Clark. He pretends to be Superman so that he can save people. He has morals. He has values. And no, he doesn't kill. Um, in fact, if you look at Smallville, I distinctly remember there being an episode where Clark and Oliver have that very discussion. Oliver is willing to kill and Clark is not. This is not an outdated idea. This is fairly recent. So to me, to say those things shows me that Zack Snyder doesn't get it. He doesn't get the Superman people want to see. He has his idea of Superman, which is clearly influenced by New 52, although I don't know how, considering that that's a relatively new thing. But somehow he has these ideas of Superman, and if he wants to do his own vision, that's fine, but don't expect the public at large to enjoy it. And I think he saw that with Man of Steel. Unfortunately, I also don't think it's going to change the direction of the upcoming movie, uh, because he doesn't get it. He doesn't get Superman. He's not the man for this job. Uh, Honestly, if anybody should be in charge of writing and putting out the next Superman film, it should be Brian Q. Miller. He has a better grasp on what the DCU is supposed to be than anybody else. I've heard nothing but good things about Smallville season 11, and the little bit that I know about it backs that up. He gets it. And as long as Zack Snyder's there and is unwilling to change his point of view, I don't think we're going to get a Superman film that the majority of fans enjoy. So, does that quote scare me for the film? Yes, but not any more so than it already was, because Man of Steel showed he doesn't get it. This quote just backs up what I already thought. So that's my take on it. Um, Moving on. Okay, there is one piece of good news coming out of DC. Batman 75th anniversary. There's all kinds of Bat stuff being released. A couple of new shorts from Bruce Timm are out. There is, from my understanding, and I haven't seen this one, my understanding is there's a new Batman the Animated Series short. Um, but the one I have seen, and actually quite cute, is a new Batman Beyond short. So there's new Batman material from what I consider to be the best version of Batman. It's nice to see again. And someone said it makes them miss the animated series. I agree. It makes me long for more episodes. Shorts just aren't enough. I would love to see more episodes of Batman the Animated Series. Kevin Conroy is Bruce. He does the voices so well. I would just love to see another series. Um, Even if what actually I think would be cool, and this is just if I could do it any way I wanted to do it, I would love to see a Nightwing series. Um, Nightwing and Bloodhaven. Get Matt Bomer to voice Dick Grayson, of course, and then um, you have him work with other heroes. Um, Also, it gives you the chance to bring in Arsenal, uh, the Flash, um, Donna Troy as whatever you want to make her. Um, all the old Teen Titans, which people have been clamoring for. Uh, you get Bruce to make some cameo appearances, so you get Kevin Conroy in there. I think that would be an amazing spin-off. And that version of Nightwing was so popular. Uh, but Nightwing was popular, and we see what they've done with him. So There you go. Anyway, good news, new shorts, fun stuff. Google it, find it, watch it. It's awesome. Um, Typically, this is the point in which Chuck and I would do segments. Uh, my soapbox is pretty much I did already. That would be the Grayson series, what they've done to Dick Grayson. I'm just so infuriated by it. Uh, Really, really upset me because that character means so much to me. And they've already ruined Kara. She already wasn't a version of Kara I liked, and then she became a Red Lantern, which just ruined her even further. And so they've already destroyed my favorite character of all time, and now they're going to ruin my favorite male character of all time. I have issues. Um, but I'm not going to boycott because I promised I would support Stephanie, and I'm good to my word. Um, Not happy though. Not happy at all. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll figure it out, and I don't know. Grayson can really never become Nightwing again now that everybody knows who he is. They really fucked up. Um, so yeah. Um, as for Chuck's choice, obviously Chuck's not here to have a choice. Um, Cilla has a choice though, and um, we're gonna steer out of comic books just for a moment, um, because my choice is actually a CD. A new album's come out that's awesome. Christina Perri just recently released her new album, um, Head or Heart, and it is beginning to end the best album I have heard in ages. To me, Christina Perri is what Avril Lavigne should have matured into. She didn't. And if you need proof of that, watch Avril Lavigne's new video for Hello Kitty, which is quite possibly one of the worst songs I've ever heard. I wanted to like it. I desperately wanted to like it. I could not like it. I couldn't even make it through the whole video. And I tried. People were bashing it. I tried to play it. I'm like, oh, that's not so bad. And they kept playing. I'm like, okay, this is kind of that bad. I couldn't make it. I tried. But Christina Perri is what I expected Avril to become. Um, Her music is soulful, well written, uh, melodic. Her voice is amazing. Actually, to me, her voice sounds a lot like Avril. If I had, in fact, the first time I heard Jar of Hearts on the radio, I thought it was Avril Lavigne. She sounds very similar to her, but a much more mature sound. Um, it's what Avril should have been. But since she isn't, at least we have Christina Perri. And if you're just looking for an amazing album from first song to last song, this is the one to pick up, Head or Heart. I think it is just awesome. I listened to it at least 20, 25 times on repeat, just over and over and over. It's so good. There's maybe out of 13 songs, two that I'm just not totally in love with, and even they're good. They're just not as good as the rest. Um, every song on there is good. So yeah, check it out. Head or Heart, Christina Perri. Which means it's time for Flicks Picks. Um, Going back to comic books. I'm actually very excited about these Flicks Picks. Um, my first Flicks pick, I will admit, when I saw it on Netflix, I squeed. Green Lantern, the animated series, is now on Netflix. The whole series. It's awesome. I'm happy. I so wish the series had gone on for longer. It is such an amazing version of Green Lantern. Um, I really enjoy this series. I would actually go as far to say as it's even better than Batman the Animated Series, and I think everybody knows how much I love that series. This is even better. Um, If you love Green Lantern, if you love Hal Jordan, if you love any of those types of stories, or just comic books in general, Green Lantern, the animated series, is the best. It's not nearly long enough. That's the only problem I have with it. They did get to the point where they introduced Guy Gardner, um, but it was canceled before we see any other human Green Lanterns. I would have loved to seen Kyle. He's my Kyle's my personal favorite Green Lantern, and so I'm sad we didn't get a chance to see him brought into the series, but it's very, very good. Definitely check it out. Um, Next pick, Young Justice. That too is on Netflix now. It is a good series. Not as good as Green Lantern. It's very good. It starts out very good, and then it kind of lulls out at the beginning of season two, um, Invasion, and then right at the end, right before they canceled it, it started to get really good again. There is a cameo appearance by Stephanie in one of the episodes. Very brief, blink and you miss it. In fact, they don't even say her name. The only way you know it's Stephanie is because of the end credits. Um, but nevertheless, Stephanie does technically appear in it. And my final pick is Batman Brave and Bold. I've picked this before, but I've picked it again because now they've added the rest of the episodes. They cut it off at a really weird point in season 2 before, and I don't know why, but they finally have added the rest of season 2 and all of season 3. So the whole series is there now. This is a campier version of Batman. It's definitely akin to the Adam West series, and I personally very much enjoy that version of Batman. Um, I like the grittier, darker version too, but the fun, campy version is what I grew up with, and it's always a fun version to see. There are some fun episodes of the series. There's one with Sidekicks Symbol, where you see Robin, Dick Grayson, Aqualad, Garth, and Speedy, Roy Harper, uh, work together and team up, and their interactions together and with their mentors. Um, that's probably my favorite episode of the series. You get to see a lot of things in this show that you don't typically see animated. It's normally stuff that's reserved for the comic books as far as the team ups and whatnot. So definitely fun series. There's one episode that I can't stand. Um, the villain is Music Meister. It's like Mayhem for Music or something like that is the title of the episode. Worst episode of anything I've ever seen, so you may want to skip that one. But the rest of it, great series. Very much love it. It's great to just, if you need to just relax and you want something fun that's not too heavy, it's awesome. So those are my Flicks picks. And that pretty much wraps it up. Um, I mainly wanted to cover Stephanie's return because obviously that's been something I've been fighting for a very long time. So it's nice to finally see it come to fruition. I'd like to think that Save Stephanie Brown had something to do with it, but I know we really had less than nothing to do with it. But I do think that the very vocal fan base did. I don't think it was one campaign. I don't think it was one group of fans. I think our collective voices let DC know, look, there is an interest here. We do want Stephanie back. So to every Stephanie Brown fan that spoke up, I thank you. Um, to every member of my community, Save Stephanie Brown, I thank you. We did it. Steph's back. And so far, so good. Um, Stay tuned and we'll see what happens. Um, as for the rest of DC, I'll be watching you. Definitely keeping an eye on what they got going on with the Red Lantern Corps, Kara, Grayson. We'll see what happens. So, um, as always, thank you for sticking with us. We are going through a rough time right now as far as trying to get you content. I do, again, very much apologize. It can't be helped. With scheduling as it is right now. It is temporary, and we will bring you new content as soon as we can. Just stick with us. Um, you guys are awesome. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and as always, jackalopesfire.com for the latest news and content from JoF. So, I'm Cilla, and thank you for watching JoF TV.